Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over just a couple of earbuds that have been sent out by Moondrop. I'm going to go ahead and get my thoughts and opinions on them and if I think they're worth picking up over everything else. So first I want to start by saying that Moondrop did send these out to me. That doesn't in any way, shape, or form affect my opinion of these products, and I will be open and unbiased when talking about everything. So let's get started. So first I'm going to go over the Moondrop Quark2s. These are $16 earbuds, mainly geared towards more casual listeners and more casual people as they are Type-C only. So these aren't going to be plugging into your DAC. These aren't going to be plugging into your Apple dongle. These are mainly meant for the iPhone 15, people with Type-C on their computers, and modern Android devices if you still have micro USB. Update. The box is a very small, tiny brown box that comes with the earbuds, a frequency response chart on the box, and then a couple of ear tips, and then a quick start guide. All you have to do is just plug them into your device and then play music. So here is a list of songs that I did to test both of these earbuds. The main thing I'm looking for is clarity, range, low end depth, and vocal presence. So testing a lot of genres like EDM, country, classical, rap, heavy metal, pretty much anything you can think of, I listen to with these headphones on top of gaming and just general productivity use, like watching YouTube videos or just consuming more podcast style content. So going into what I think about the Quark2s, they are okay for $16. The thing that I don't like about them is how lacking they are in the top end and the low end. Past 16,000 kilohertz, you hear a lot of distortion, especially into the right one. I feel like mine might have been a defective copy, but that doesn't give away from the fact that you are losing a lot of that detail in the low and the highs. From 40 hertz all the way to 16K, you get a really nice responsive chart. It's a little bit boosted on the high ends, kind of a general V shape with a little bit of crunchiness towards the top. And like I said, that high end got really distorted for me, especially in genres like heavy metal where there's a lot of cymbals and really distorted guitars, where there's just too much crunchiness at that top end past 16K. If you're wondering how I'm finding out what the responsive charts are, I'm using Ableton Live 11 alongside with Pro Q3, and then I'm just isolating what I think I hear, and then I'm just validating my opinion based on what I'm hearing through the EQ. The general build quality is pretty okay. For $16 IEMS, I don't expect much. They are completely made of plastic, so I feel like the housing of the speaker itself, I feel like it's really cheap. I feel like I can just break it off. That doesn't stop them from being okay for their price range. So going over the general gaming performance of these headphones, you're getting some pretty good separation. You're able to correctly identify where enemies are, which is all you really ask for when you're playing games, especially like Valorant, Overwatch, or Apex, where audio is very important. You're not losing any of that real detail in footsteps, in gunfight, so you're able to correctly pinpoint where people are. But in rhythm games, and them not being the best audio headphones, make rhythm games not as fun. Here's a quick mic test to see how the mic sounds in-game and if you're just making Discord calls.
All right, test audio with the Quark2s. This is how the microphone sounds talking directly out into Ableton Live 11. We have them in as they would normally be. We're just having a nice little conversation, especially in Discord calls or in gaming environments. This is how it would sound. And this is how it would sound if you're listening to music on the side as well. There's a lot of feedback. You're able to pretty much hear yourself clear as day through the headphones. You're able to hear all the audio coming from your computer directly to the headphones. So I would not recommend using the microphone personally, but if that's kind of what you're into, if you want people to hear you and for them to hear themselves, then this is a perfect headphone for that. But I'm not the biggest fan of being able to have people hear the audio I'm listening to as I'm listening to it.
Would I recommend them? Probably not, mainly because the True 2s exist. You have the SoundNote 02s that exist. You have a myriad of budget IEMs that sound better than these at the same price point. And it's really hard to recommend them. They do come with a cool feature. You do get their DSP, so you're able to adjust the way it sounds through its software. So if you did want to get just a pair of Type-C earbuds, you just want to plug them in your computer and use them, they work completely fine for that. But for my personal use case and my everyday use case, they didn't end up being the best option for me, as I already have the Moondrop Maze, and those just blow them out the water with their detail and their clarity at $80. If you're looking on a budget, these are definitely a good option to pick up if you want a Type-C only, just quick earbud, but I would still recommend getting the True 2s over the Quark2s. Next, going on to the Moondrop blocks. The blocks are a tough or a weird headphone. So they use a standard like earbud style like you would find at a dollar store. You just kind of rest it in your ear. And the issue that I'm having with the blocks is that they don't sound good. So I tested them out for a week. I retired the AirPod Pros and I went straight blocks for a week. And in that use case, they ended up failing at a lot of things that I did in my daily life. Like I use the iPhone 12, which is relatively old at this point, but paired with a little bit older Gen 2 AirPods, I feel like it's completely fine. And when you're using stuff like the AirPod Pros, you get used to the haptic touchbacks, you get used to the really responsive buttons. And going to the Moondrop blocks, there was always a delay. So they do have capacitive touch. You can tap the side of it to pause, tap to unpause, but there's around a 1.2 second delay from hitting that button and having a action happen. So there'd be a lot of times where I would hit it, expecting it to do it immediately, and I'd be waiting, hit it again, it would play and then pause immediately, and it'd be kind of frustrating, especially because I work at a fast food restaurant, so there's a lot of high pace, high action, you're always kind of doing something. It's really hard to, hey, let me pause music real quick, make sure I'm hearing this correctly, and then put the music back on. It's really hard to do that. For general music listening though, they are very lacking. They pretty much cut out all bass sub 100 hertz, and they cut out any presence past like 15K. They have like this really telephone sound.
So I went down to the water and found my fate, because I don't wanna be stuck. So I went down to the water and found my fate, because I don't wanna be.
So when I'm listening to things like podcasts or watching YouTube videos or even just watching anime on my phone, they're fine because their main presence is in the mids. They're very strong in the mids, and it sounds like they push those up while bringing everything else down. So they're good for phone calls, they're good for basic stuff like that. But if I wanted to actually critically listen to music, if I just want to listen to music, they're super, super, super flat, and they're super, super, super dull, if that makes sense. They have no low end, almost no high end. It sounds like if you were to play a song while on a phone call with somebody. That's how these sound. These have that distortion problem a lot more too, especially on the left and right. Past that 14, 15 kilohertz that they kind of top out at. Any frequency trying to play past that distorts the speaker, and it causes a lot of static sound. When you're listening to them at max volume as well, they don't get very loud, but when you play them at max, it feels like they're pushing them too much and then distorting those speakers. So I always turn it down like 1 or 2 notches on my phone so I could at least listen to it without hearing that distortion, especially because I do listen to a lot of EDM and heavy metal where there's a lot of high-end frequencies, and I don't want to hear distortion at the high end. When it comes to their clarity in songs like Love Me by Lil Wayne, they are fine. You get a lot of nice detail in the mids, but other than that, they lose a lot of that vocal body that you get in that song. If you go listen to Love Me by Lil Wayne, I can't play it here on the channel, but if you go listen to it, the vocals have a lot of body to them, especially in that 100, 200 range where they are very, very, very present. And I really enjoy that song for how clear the vocals are. It sounds like it's recorded on the Neumann U87, probably is, but that's kind of what I'm getting when I'm listening to that song, that it sounds great on most devices, but the blocks ruin it. The blocks make it sound flat and dull. You hear the vocals, but you lose a lot of that low end. The vocals kind of get blended into the instrumental, which isn't how it's supposed to sound, especially when going from something like the Super Mix 4s or the Moondrop Maze or the High-Di's M3S. When you're going from these really good IEMs to the budget stuff, the blocks just fall apart. Even compared to my SoundNote Zeros that have a much better sound frequency. They are wired, you're not getting true wireless, but they are much better. And finally, would I recommend the Moondrop blocks? No, it's really hard to say that they are an easy recommendation because they don't sound good, especially if you're buying them for music listening. I would only recommend them if you're buying them to make phone calls as general like business use. But if you're buying them strictly for music or strictly for general purpose, they lack in a lot of features, especially with their touch controls and not even being able to use it with the Moondrop software. They aren't compatible with it. It makes it a really hard recommendation at even the $30 price point. And I'd recommend getting something like the JLab earbuds that are just significantly better at that price point. I've been using them for a few months as well before I got my AirPods, and the JLabs are completely fine, especially if you're just going for that general music listening experience. You're not going for anything critical. You're not doing any kind of music mixing, mastering, or production on them. The JLabs are fine, and that's what I would recommend at that $30 price point. I do need to try more budget, truly wireless headphones, but since I got the AirPod Pros, I just don't see reason to get anything else because they are the best. But that should be it in this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Leave a like if you did. Comment if you've tried these earbuds and let me know what your thoughts are on them. And if you haven't, were you considering them? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more content, and I will see you guys in the next one.
You say you want it, oh baby girl, you say you want it. Baby, come get it, oh baby, yeah, you gotta get it. Hey baby girl, drop all these problems. Look at everyone who's trying harder. I don't know if I should try harder, cause you're the only one I want.